Okay, today I'm taking a look at the big boy. This is the VEVOR's 13-gallon air compressor. If you want something that you can move around, but you still want to have a lot of volume, this is going to be the one that you want. I did note that this box was actually upside down when I got it, so it was sitting on the pump head, so I am curious if that did anything to it. So we got our instructions. This is reassuring. We got our handle right here on the top, so I think that probably will have protected the pump head. And that is portable with an asterisk because this is a fairly heavy pump. So nothing looks damaged on here, which is excellent. These are about 6.5 inches, so if you need to go over bumps or anything like that, you'll be able to do that. Rubber coated and fairly sturdy looking. We got our rubber feet, and we've got our hardware. So our capacitor is right here out in the open, which is excellent. So if you ever have to replace that, that's not going to be an issue to get to. I love seeing that. It is a double piston pump. The air is going to be exiting out of this line, going directly into the tank. Fairly large pump, which is excellent, because, well, especially with a 13-gallon pump. This is going to take a little bit longer than one of those smaller tanks. It should take about 3 minutes to fill up. I will time that, though, to just make sure. And this is something I like to see. So we have 2 gauges on here. This is going to tell us what the pressure is inside the tank, and this is the pressure going out of the regulator. So if you want to keep the tank topped off, which you definitely are going to want to do, but you don't want to have the full pressure going out to your tool. Maybe you have a tool that only wants 80 psi. We can regulate that down with this regulator, and we can see what the pressure coming out will be. I also like seeing that we have a safety blowout valve. So in the event that this thing becomes overpressurized for any reason, it will just push this pin out, and that will release the air. There's actually a little pressure in there. But these are always very important because that's going to prevent this thing from being able to detonate. We also have an emergency stop on the top, and we can use that just as a shut-off. And we actually have 2 outlets, so you can plug in 2 tools at once, which is going to be one of the main reasons of getting such a large tank. The fact that you can plug a hose in here, have that run clear across the shop, and then just have that as your main air supply, and then if you ever want to plug in directly, you can use the other one. So they weren't cheaping out on this. This is a very nice design. Nice solid handle. It looks like it is adjustable. And if you look on the tank, we can see this is a low noise, oil-free air compressor. Oil-free is important because that's one less thing I have to worry about. Low noise is probably the most important thing to me, just because I want to be able to put this thing in my garage and I won't have to worry about blowing my ears out. So I'm very happy they got a compressor that's this large that is also a low noise. And if we look on the bottom, we can see where we're going to be attaching our feet, but we can also see our drain valve. Now this is something I really like to see. So they actually put this directly in the center, which you would think would be natural. All the water is going to drain to this point and then be able to pull out. You want to be able to drain all the water out of the tank, but strangely enough, usually I see that those valves are actually located closer up to the side. What that means is there's going to be constantly a puddle of water sitting at the bottom and rusting that tank out. So I'm very happy they actually put that correctly in the center. I will probably be replacing this with a braided line, something where it's going to be able to screw in but then come out a little bit so I have easier access to it, but we do have something that we can easily open and close right out of the box. So first I'm going to take my axles, and you can see there's 2 sides to this wheel, so this one sticks out. That's going to go toward the compressor. So I'm going to drop the bolt. Then on the back side I'm going to put a washer, and you can see there's a small amount of space there, so it's not going to rub. Then we're going to fit that through the hole. And on the back we're going to do washer, lock washer, nut. And this is using a 17mm for that nut. And for the feet, we got a large washer for our bolt. That is going to go from the inside. On the other side, washer, lock washer, and nut. And this is a 14. And we've got a couple of air filters. So that is going to make sure that all the air that goes into these pumps is going to be clean. It also helps to reduce the noise. So in the instructions, it does say this one goes up to 125 PSI. I'm going to keep an eye on the gauge. And it looks like they did even label the line on here, so it does show the red line at 125. So if it starts going beyond that, then we want to make sure that we hit an E-stop and find out what's going on. But let's go ahead and see what happens. Oh yeah. So first thought, that is quieter than I was expecting. I was expecting this to be, because they say they have like quiet, then they have ultra quiet. This just said low noise. This is right on par with what I would expect out of an ultra quiet compressor. I could even sit in this tiny room and this isn't going to blow my ears out. You can definitely hear it, but it is not what I would call loud. Okay, so we are at 125. And that did take right about 3 minutes, so that is excellent. And the thing is, this is 3 minutes to 125 PSI. If you just need to inflate your car tires to about 30-35 PSI, you can start doing that within 30-60 seconds. But if you want to have this thing completely maxed out to the highest capacity you can get, it takes about 3 minutes, which is nothing. And that is the benefit of having a large dual piston head on the top. Now what's great about this is because this thing is portable, so I can just tip this thing Yeah, that rolls very nicely. So if you walk out to your car and one of your tires is completely flat, usually a bad idea to drive on that, even if it's just from the driveway into the garage. With something like this, I can unplug it and it's still going to have a full 13 gallons in it, which means I can walk this out to the car, fill up all 4 tires, and then walk it right back into the garage. Some tools just have a higher demand and you need a larger tank. This is going to be the compressor you want if you're going to be using pneumatic tools as a primary way of getting work done. So I can tell already this is going to be my new favorite compressor. Big 13 gallons, fills fairly quickly, nice and quiet. Really can't say much bad about that. The only thing that I'm going to change on it, like I said, I'm going to take that valve, I'm going to take it off, I'm going to put on one of those braided lines. I'm probably going to stick it right out here so I can easily turn that on and off. It's always a good idea to drain your tank whenever you're done. You don't want to allow rust to eat that bottom of that tank. So this is typically how I like to run it. So I've got this line that's going up. That is plugging into my dryer. That is going into my reel. And I can take anywhere in the garage. So I'm curious if I was to run this thing full out, how long I can run it, and then how low the pressure will go before it starts building back up. So it looks like it got down to about 85 PSI, which is excellent in my opinion, because what that means is that this is not going to be kicking on over and over and over. It's only going to kick on occasionally, which is going to reduce the overall runtime of the pump and increase the lifespan of the system. So yeah, nice large pump, plenty of air, plenty of good pressure. That is an excellent little compressor. I am very happy with that.